Hey guys, it's Phantom here and welcome back to a brand new video, everyone. So in today's video, I am going to be tackling the question of whether or not Wizard101 is a game for little children. So, I mean, this has got to be one of the most widely asked questions just concerning this game. I mean, like, you'd hear arguments from both sides, really, if you just took out, like, a random person from a sample size of people who know what this game is, right? They could definitely give you one of two answers, right? It's either a kid's game or it's not a kid's game. There's not really much debate at that point. It's kind of just one thing or the other. Now, you could make arguments for both sides just regarding this sort of question, and there is definitely evidence that supports both sides, but I think a lot of just like stuff about this game, a lot of what people say, and how it is kind of portrayed to the general public kind of contributes to a misconception that this game is simply only for kids and literally nobody else. But that's not really true, is it? I mean, chances are, right, if you are watching this video, you've probably played the game of Wizard101 before, or at least have heard about it, but I would wager there is a very good chance that you have already played the game and you're just simply watching this video because it is a Wizard101 video, and that's literally the only reason why you clicked on it, because it's relevant to the game that you're playing. Now, ask yourself, right? It's a pretty simple answer. Just ask yourself, how old am I, right now, just currently watching this Wizard101 video about Wizard101? And, I mean, you kind of have your answer already. I would say that there is a really good chance that the person watching this video currently right now is probably, I would say, if I just kind of had to give a rough estimate, above the age of 15, I would probably say. And my point with this is basically, not a lot of kids actually play Wiz anymore, or at least if you're keeping up to date with the game and what's going on, you're probably kind of in that age range, or at least like above the age of 15, because the fact of the matter is, Wizard101 is a game that has been out for a really long time. It's been around for, I think, about, this year might be like its 12th birthday, in fact, so it's definitely been around for quite a while. And of course, if a game has been around for a while, it's going to have a lot of longtime players, or at least in the case of Wiz, a lot of its player base are going to be those same veteran longtime players. So if you just kind of take that fact into consideration, right? So when did this game come out? Like 2008, right? Even if you were like, let's say 5 years old when you started playing the game, like right as the game came out, or however old you were just playing Wiz in its early days, there's just a really good chance that by now, just by the laws of time, you are a lot older than you were before. And of course, you're probably not a kid either. I believe I was around 5 or 6 when I actually started playing this game as well, because I think I started playing in and around 2010. And if I am 17 years old right now, then that would mean that, yeah, I was like roughly about 6 when I started. So yeah, when I did start playing this game, of course, I think I do pretty much fit the definition of a kid. But as you guys can observe right now, I'm playing the game, I'm walking around, and I'm 17 years old, and that's definitely not old by any means, but it's not really quite that young either. And I would say, at least for the game that Wizard101 kind of portrays itself to be sometimes, that is like a pretty decent age, honestly, for what this game was intended for. The audience that it was intended for is what I mean, and I'm gonna go into that. So if you ask me the question, was the game of Wizard101 originally intended for a child audience, then my answer to you would be yes. I think KI did make this game with just the idea of children playing it in mind. As you guys can see, I mean, the animation, is like pretty cartoonish and everything. It's really bright and vibrant, and definitely guaranteed to capture the attention of a child. But of course, I mean, the fact of the matter is this game was made a very, very long time ago, and it doesn't really matter if that is still the audience that they are trying to reach today. I don't think that should really define what kind of game it is. I don't think the type of game should be defined based on what audience it was intended for, and rather on the audience that it presently has now. And so, of course, taking that point into consideration, I would say that Wizard101 is not a kid's game. I really don't think it is, because, and I really wish I had some data to actually back this up, but I would say that the majority of the Wizard101 player base is, of course, I said before, definitely like above the age of 15. And of course, I'm talking about majority. You know, there probably is kids that play this game. I mean, there's definitely probably kids that play this game. In any sort of data set, you're always going to have your outliers. So, of course, I'm sure there are a couple kids that actually do play this game. But if I'm just kind of making a general estimate here, I would say most players are probably in their late teens, you know, maybe early to middle 20s, something like that. So even if these players did start to play the game when they were really young, I mean, clearly there are still a lot of players now that are still interested in the game, you know, and still find it fun since they have stuck with it so long. And I am definitely a part of that group. You know, as I mentioned before, I was like around 6 years old when I did start playing this game, and now I'm 17. And I won't say I enjoy it quite as much because I don't really have that whole, like, you know, ignorant bliss thing that I had as a child, but I definitely do still enjoy it quite a bit. And I have been in this community for a very, very long time, so of course I have made observations just regarding the player base, and I can really just see for myself that a lot of the players do tend to fall on that older side, or at least older than a lot of people initially think when considering the entirety of the Wizard101 player base. Which brings me to my next point. I truthfully just definitively think that this is a game for all ages. Literally all ages of people definitely have potential to enjoy what this game has in store for them. And the reason I say that is because if you just take a look right at the general timeline of people who played this game, they played it when they were young, and of course a lot of people did leave. You know, the game, it's not necessarily as alive as it once was, the community isn't as big, but for those people that did come back, still a very, very, you know, decently sized, decently large portion, loyal, by the way, very, very loyal portion of the player base still very much likes the game. And of course, since the game came out 12 years ago, it just proves that they still enjoy it, and that age didn't really have any effect on them. They still enjoy it, maybe not quite as much as a kid, but they're literally 12 years older and have probably changed a lot overall as people during that time. Yet they still come to enjoy the game of Wizard101, the very game that they started more than a decade ago, and I think there's really something special just about that fact. It just pays homage to the fact that this game has replayability. You know, whether you like it or not, you're just gonna come back. A lot of people just feel obligated to come back, or just have like a desire to come back that they just need to feed. They just can't do anything but that. That is, of course, one of the reasons why I think Wiz still has a decent portion of people who are still very, very loyal to the game and really, really do want to play it and want to see it thrive and succeed. So in short, do I think Wizard101 as a game is solely a game meant for children? No. No, I really don't think so. As I've mentioned before, I truly think anyone at any age can enjoy this game, and there's really, really nothing wrong with it. I think we should like try to stop pushing this narrative of Wizard101 just only being a kid's game, because it's really just not the case at all. And I hope I did change your mind today, or maybe just reinforce the fact that it isn't a kid's game. Anyone can play it, anyone can enjoy it, and that is pretty much that. So if you guys did enjoy the video, I would really appreciate it if you liked it, or maybe sub to the channel. It would mean the absolute world to me, and I really do appreciate it. But enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Take care, and peace out.